The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey folks, I'm so sorry I had technical glitches with GoToWebinar today. It was giving me all kinds of problems, but we're here now and ready to get rocking and rolling. I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today. Hey, let me know if you guys can hear me. Give me a 1 if you guys can hear me and a 2 if I'm still on mute. Okay, excellent. All right. It's good to see everybody here today. We got a pretty full room, all things considered. You guys have a good 4th of July? Just getting everything set up here for a second. Excellent, excellent. All right, well, I think everybody here probably knows me. I'm Sue Bell. We're here with Digital Disruption Marketing, our monthly webinar. It is with a sad heart that I inform you guys that Fran has had to go a separate direction. She's had some stuff come up in her life, and she's got some great opportunities in front of her. And so she and I are headed in different directions. So she won't be joining me on the webinars anymore. She won't be in the Facebook groups. And we're still good friends. I still love her dearly, but she's off onto greener pastures. So, but we here, still on the bleeding edge of everything. Give me a 1 if you guys are familiar with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe. And a 2 if that's just a little bit too far out into weird sci-fi land for you. Oh, good. There's a lot of people. 42, how appropriate, exactly. A lot of you guys are familiar with it. So for those of you who aren't, it's an incredibly humorous, there's 5 books in the trilogy, incredibly humorous British book that got turned into a series, that got turned into a movie, and one of the central themes in the book/movie is deep thought, a computer that was created to provide the answer to life, the universe, and everything, of which it came back after millions of years and said 42. I find it humorous because there's in all of the artificial intelligence stuff that folks have got going on, Bing, Google, Amazon, they're all using like Deep Brain, DeepFace. Facebook has DeepFace, DeepText. They're all takeoffs from deep thought, as far as I'm concerned. I think that's the humor that runs through, the geek humor that runs through all of these things. So I get a chuckle out of it. We're going to spend a lot of time today talking about different aspects of artificial intelligence that's coming out of Deep Brain and DeepFace and DeepText. So hence the opening screen. Before we get started too far down that path, I need to mention to you guys the Google Speed update rolled out on Monday. And here's the skinny on that. If your site is already fast, don't spend a lot of time trying to tweak out milliseconds of speed. It's not going to make that much difference. What's going to happen is that sites that are slower are going to fall further down in the rankings. If they've still got good content, they'll still rank, but faster sites will rank better. So it is an aspect of the algorithm. It's obviously not the only aspect of the algorithm, but if you noticed, I actually noticed some changes in some of my slower sites last week, although the official rollout was supposed to be Monday. So if you guys noticed some things that have taken a turn downward, I probably lost a page, maybe a page and a half on some of my heavier pages. So if you guys have noticed a bit of a dip, that's what's going on. And the Google SSL update is rolling out at some point in time this month. What that has to do with is on Chrome. I don't use Chrome, so I'm not going to know when it actually hits other than seeing it in the news. On Chrome, it's going to come back and tell you that the site is insecure, right? So it'll be a nasty thing when you try to click from the SERPs onto the site. And so you want to get your secure certificates. If you have been lax about that, you definitely want to get them implemented now. Yeah, I'm insecure too, exactly. You want to get those SSLs on now. And if you need help with that, then just post something in the Facebook group. I've got places where you can get a lot of places are offering now really cheap SSLs, but I've got a link for one if you need it, and if you need help getting it installed, I can point you either to someone who can help you out or to do-it-yourself instructions. So just let me know. All right. So much for Google and their updates. I don't know about you guys, but I had a couple of other sites that I've had on page 2. I was having like a really kind of a tough time getting them from page 2 onto page 1. And with the update that happened somewhere around the end of the month, I think it was 29th of June, there was some, I think that was actually the beginning of the speed update. They actually popped. So, and that would make sense because those pages were really light. Anyway, so yeah, I had a couple pages. I had a couple sites pop where the pages popped all the way across the site, and then I had a couple of sites with slower pages that have dipped in the last week. All right, so with that, let's go into deep thought. So AI learning. We'll talk first about some specifics about the kinds of things that are going on, and then I'm gonna like forward think a little bit as to how. So all of this stuff is like in motion right now. These are changes that have happened. A good chunk of these changes that have happened in the last 30 days. Some of them are built on top of things that have happened in the past, but we'll talk a little bit about all of that. And what I'm wanting to do is give you guys my picture of where I see things going. So this is a cool new toy that Amazon just went on the market like within the last week or so. Maybe a couple weeks now. I lose track. So the bottom, the camera on the top, it's a pretty thin thing, but the box on the bottom looks deceptively thin here. It's actually a square. The white bit is actually a square. So it's probably about 4 inches square, and then the little QB camera sits on top. And so this is a deep learning camera. It's got the same sort of specs. Wait, I have those specs. Let me find them. It's got a 4 megapixel 1080 video cam. And in the computer box underneath, it's got 8 gigs of memory. It's got a 2D microphone array. It's got an Intel Atom processor and a bunch of USB, micro SD, and micro HDMI ports, right? It's running on Ubuntu Linux. And the cool thing about it is what it interfaces with. So it actually interfaces with a bunch of things, but I'm going to mention 3 of them. Amazon, I think all 3 of these things are actually Amazon things. So Green Grass, if my tongue doesn't get too tied up here, Green Grass is a software that lets you run local compute, messaging, data caching, syncing, machine language interface capabilities for connected devices. And it allows you to run them in a very secure way, which is, we just talked last week. Rich was on the call with us. We started talking about security, and he mentioned IoT security for a few minutes. And so this has the ability to secure your IoT communications, right? Whether or not they're actually interfaced to the web, it can secure them locally as well as with the comms up to the internet. So let me push some things around, and so that's green grass. Gluon, which just sounds way cool, is also by Amazon. It's going to have support from Microsoft's Cognitive Toolkit, which is an open source project. I'm sorry. Gluon is an open source project. It provides a consistent interface. So the cool thing about this is trying to program in artificial intelligence or trying to program in any kind of AI modality, requires a lot of expertise. It's quite different from conventional programming, and it's moving very quickly. It's hard to stay on top of. I stay on top of it from just the most sketchy thumbnail imaginable, right? It's just like scratching the surface. And so for programmers, even who are into this full time, it's a fast moving field. So one of the challenges is, how do we bring advanced artificial intelligence programming more mainstream? So one of the answers to that is Gluon. And between Gluon and what Microsoft has offered to do with their cognitive toolkit, it's going to provide an easy way to be able to tap into artificial intelligence problem solving. So in other words, there's a whole bunch of pre-built modules that are available in notebooks, and you can tap into that and use them as building blocks to quickly create applications. And they're talking about pretty much anybody can get started quickly, like within about 10 or 15 minutes with doing some of this coding. So if you've got kids, like the place that my head just immediately goes is, if you've got kids who are inclined toward programming and toward computers, like doing something like this for a science fair project would be amazing. All right, so and as I said, this is brand new. It's the first thing of its kind for a home sort of a development, sort of a module or piece of hardware. All right, so let me talk about SageMaker before I get too far sidetracked, because I automatically want to go down into, like, this is what we can do with it, right? We can make a pterodactyl. So SageMaker is designed to make it easier for you to build your own custom learning machines. Oh, this is also, I'm sorry, this has actually got the pre-built notebooks. So Gluon is actually in its very early stages, and the Microsoft Cognitive Toolkit isn't quite ready yet, but SageMaker is ready right now, and it's got the pre-built Jupyter notebooks that allow you to connect problem solving. It's like you can look through all of the problem solvings, and you can pick problems, and then you can put modules together and get it to get something put together pretty fast that'll do some kind of problem solving. All right, so you can also stream the video back to Amazon Kinesis video streams and do more advanced video analysis there with using the Amazon video recognition with a K. And so, all right, so how does all of this relate to what we're doing today? I've talked a little bit before, well, several times before, about Alexa, right? So Alexa is a voice assistant that Amazon came out with a couple of years ago. And recently, like a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago now, they introduced a buy button for Amazon, right? So a voice activated sort of a buy button. So you can subscribe to things. These are third-party people. We're not talking, oh yeah, I can buy my Amazon product through Alexa, which you've been, let me turn her off before she decides to start talking to me, which you've been able to do for a long time. But I mean, you can create an app, your own app, or for a business, for a client, and you can sell products through that Alexa app. So third-party products that aren't on Amazon anywhere, don't have anything to do with anything. So for instance, games are super popular, and one of the first alpha testers was Jeopardy, where you could unlock an additional level of questions in Jeopardy for a price, right? So for $1 a month or something along these lines, you can play the advanced version of Jeopardy. So think mobile apps when you think that, but except for the fact that with voice activated assistants, or with voice assistants, they're going to be so much more-ish than an app on your phone. So, for instance, you've got the ability now to have Alexa anywhere. Not only is she available in the normal Alexa products, but she's actually a module that you can install on a Raspberry, right? So a Raspberry Pi, if you know what those are, they're like little teeny computers that you can use for pretty much anything. They're kind of like this camera in terms of like it's got computing power, and you can attach other things to it like a camera, and you can make whatever you want to out of it. And because you can make whatever you want to out of it, because you can install it anywhere, it just opens the door for so many things. So it's available now in your car, not just because it's on your phone, but there are like little devices that you can just plug into the lighter and boom, you've got Alexa right there. So you don't have to go anywhere without Alexa. And Google is doing the same thing. I don't want to be like all pro Alexa. It's just that Alexa's the one with the buy button. Google doesn't have their buy button on there yet. So in a minute, we're going to go down a path with Alexa where I'm actually going to do a quick little course on Alexa and how, like, give you guys ideas on how you can do apps for yourself and for your business. So not to digress too far, the thing that I see here, because this can control all of the internet, all of the IoT devices in your smart home now all of a sudden just got eyes. And these aren't just normal eyes, but these are intelligent eyes that can problem solve and extrapolate information. So in other words, it can sense that there's a fire and it can call 911. It can see that there's somebody unauthorized at your front door trying to get in at an hour that's not authorized, and you haven't told your house that you're expecting somebody to come, and so they call 911, right? So you can start to see, like, the security things just popped right out at me. But then the less secure things are, she could notice that, as you're pouring the laundry detergent into the washing machine, that you're just about out, and say, hey, it looks like you're out of laundry detergent. Would you like for me to order that for you? Right? So that's immediately how I could see Amazon using this device for marketing purposes. That's an immediate concept for me, but I can also imagine that, like, if this becomes the eyes and the brains for your whole smart home, then think about the things that it could look out for and be aware of. It could see that there's, the weeds in your front yard are taking over the entire sidewalk, and they've actually got the mailman in a stronghold. And so it could suggest to you that maybe they should call somebody to come trim the weeds, right? So you could, I would think that from a user perspective, you would want to, like, cherry pick off of a list the things that you want your smart home to be aware of and what you want it to alert you to, and possibly preferred vendors for whatever. And it can become then, along with the virtual assistant concept, right, along with this idea that you can talk to Alexa and the deep lens camera can see what's going on. The deep lens camera, back in Mesa, I lived in a 2-story house. I almost never went downstairs. It was like a living room and a couple of bedrooms and a bathroom, and it was mostly for guests, right? It was like a little apartmentette. And it just so happened one time when I had some guests down there, the bathroom downstairs started to leak. Now, if somebody hadn't been there, there's no way in God's little green earth I would have known, right? It would have been, I shudder to think how long it would have taken me, probably like the next cleaning cycle, right? Before I would have gone, oh my goodness gracious, there's water on the floor. Maybe we should have this taken care of. So there's all kinds of things like that where I could see this coming into play. There's the obvious things. So like a lot of people have already got some kind of security and some kind of baby monitoring thing going on. Well, this could be that much more intelligence, so that like if your eyes aren't on the baby monitor all the time, it could alert you to the fact that the baby is trying to crawl out of the crib. Not that I tried to do that as a child more than once. Anyway, you get my point. So that's where I see this kind of, yeah, exactly. Spying on teenager activities. Brilliant. Yes. Watch over pool visitors. Perfect. Exactly. All right, good. So that's where I see this going. So you can like you can see that it's going to be both like an alerting a homeowner as well as offering, you know, solutions that are going to have some kind of a monetary um, attachment to it. All right, so let's talk about Facebook for a second. You can see all of this just popped up. I didn't have enough time to like slow this down. All right, so Facebook's got 4 or 5 different things going on at the moment. They've got, let me just look at, because I don't remember what everything is. All right, Facebook Learner Flow. This is a very, very cool thing. This is cool for me because what it does is it tests user environments. And at the moment, it's used by more than 25% of the Facebook engineering team before they roll out a change, right? And so it tests the user environment to see how user-friendly it is to like create models of how people might interact with the user interface. And so it allows the developers to prevent friction before something actually goes live. And if you've ever developed any kind of software, I can tell you, man, that is just like the biggest problem that there is, because, you know, as a developer, I would create a system and then I'd give it to somebody to use and they're like, I don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, well, it's obvious, just read the screen, right? Like it's there in front of your face. Like, what don't you understand? Because, you know, I've got a particular perspective and the user who's never seen the screen before has a completely different perspective. So this is what FB Learner Flow does. So, the cool thing about it is that this is all open source. Everything that Facebook has done is actually open source, including their hardware for their artificial intelligence. It's all open source, so anybody can grab the specs or grab the code up out in GitHub and use it. So building perception is a set of neural networks that are trained to comprehend a wide array of data, and this includes voices, videos, and photos, right? So we know a little bit about DeepFace. DeepFace has been in the news a lot, but building perception is a little bit different in that it's got a wider variety of things that it's trying to understand: voices, videos, and photos. So elements in photos besides faces, right? So DeepText actually uses FB Learner Flow for modeling. Its goal is to understand and intuit meaning of text, which is actually a pretty difficult thing to do. Now, DeepText is a pretty new thing. It's just recently launched, where the other 3 have been out for a while. So DeepText it's actually pretty aggressive what it's trying to do, because so they're wanting to, and I didn't write down the particular perspectives, but you know, all this text goes into Facebook all the time in all these different languages. And so what DeepText is trying to do is understand all of the text that Facebook is getting all the time in all these different languages. And so it's the cool thing for me as a linguist, the cool thing that DeepText has done, or one of the things that it's done, because it's done several, is it's created a how do I say this? It's created a model for languages. So it's not just looking at English as a standalone language, but it's looking at English and how English uses words, and then it's looking at Spanish and how Spanish uses words, and it's extrapolating the usage from both of those languages to look at the ideas around, say, happy birthday in both of those languages. And so from that, it's actually creating a really cool model that's not based on any one language, which helps it to understand all languages better. So it's a huge project, what it is they're trying to do with that. My hat is tipped that they're attempting to do what they're attempting to do. So anyway, just know that that's up and coming. So, and then we've got DeepFace, which has got a 97% accuracy, which is basically the same as human beings. And one of the things that they're trying to do several things with DeepFace, but one of the really interesting things that they're doing at the moment is understanding how faces age and being able to say, okay, this face of this person is at a younger age, and this is a face of this person at an older age, and making a continuity, a timeline continuity. And the other thing, I believe it's DeepFace. I went back to try and find the article again, and I couldn't find it, but one of the facial algorithms out there is actually looking at the people that are in a picture, and they're looking at that person's defined social graph. So, you know, when you're on Facebook, for instance, you say, this is my friend, this is my friend, this is my friend, this is my friend, this is my friend. And then over on LinkedIn, you say, these are people I know in business. And over on G+, you say, you know, these are my people. And you can segregate, most of those places, you can segregate like layers of friends. But so all of that is considered your social graph. These are all people that you admit to having some kind of a relationship with. So there's another aspect to facial recognition where they're looking at the images, they're identifying the people that are in an image and expanding the facial graph or the social graph that you have declared to include these other people that you're in a photograph with. So I can think of a bunch of like really cool as well as really creepy applications for that. And I'm not going to go there today. I just want you to be aware that that's where things are going. Oh, and DeepText. One of the things that DeepText, was this DeepText? Hang on, let me look. Yeah, one of the things that DeepText is being used for right now is in Messenger. And remember, this is the thing that's cool about this is that it's all open source, right? So DeepText is available and is being used in Messenger right now. So that this image that I have here is an example where it says, hey, I need a ride. Facebook is coming back with an ad, basically, right? And saying, request a ride. You click on the request a ride, and it's going to bring up a thing for Uber or whatever, whoever it is that's paying them for that ride link, right? So, so when you think about that and you think about your website, right? Because I want you guys to like keep applying this back to your business funnel, how these things are going to start to impact your business funnel. All right. So when I think about that, I'm looking at the artificial intelligence that I can use on a website, or that I will shortly be able to use on a website, so that as people interact with the bots on my website, I can make suggestions for products or blah, 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 right? I mean, there's already bots out there right now that you can get, and they're in varying degrees of intelligence, but it's just interesting. So like if you were running something, say, more than just a simple help bot on your website, if you had some kind of a forum or something that's associated, you could come back with some responses on your forum. So I just think about the Facebook association thing, the facial association thing. Well, just keep all that in your head for a second. We'll get to more here at the end. All right, so Alphabet, Google, right? Google's parent company is Alphabet. They're doing some fascinating things with images too. So they can construct a three-dimensional layout from 1 to 5. Actually, this is on the next slide. Let me just pop over there for a second. 2D to 3D rendered. They can construct a 3D rendering from someplace between 1 to 5 two-dimensional images. All right, so in looking at that, if you think back to what we were talking about a minute ago with the camera, you wouldn't need a camera. I mean, you could have a camera that moves, but you wouldn't necessarily need a camera that moves in order to be able to grok more information than what might be available right now, right? So that'd be something that would be in the coming soon phase, but that's where I see things heading. All right, particularly since the camera's got artificial intelligence built into it, right? All right, so also with DeepMind can track moving objects and videos. So there was another image that I didn't include where like a ball bounces across the yard and it tracks the ball bouncing across the yard. And then this one, which I thought was actually more effective in terms of getting the point across. And when you think about the complexity of understanding the person and following the movement as, and they had several examples, this is just one, following the movements as they shift positions, then if you take the tracking of poses and you start to marry that up with additional artificial intelligence, you can start to predict what people are going to do. All right. So, all right. Back to today for a second. Things that I've talked about in past webinars. Keyword research has got artificial intelligence enhancement embedded in it these days. I'm going to talk sometime soon, probably tomorrow. I might not talk about it publicly. I might just talk about it in the AI Alpha group, specifically what some of the software is and what it does. But there's keyword research. There's a new keyword tool I found which does a pretty decent job of classifying keywords into buyer keywords versus educational keywords, all that sort of stuff. There's website builders that help you build a website quickly, but they don't just help you build a website quickly, they also present personalized views of your website. Those are in the very, very, very beginning stages, in my humble opinion. They only, they've got like 3 or 4 possibilities for any one page, and then based off of certain things that it queries from the user when they hit the page, it determines which flavor of the page it should show them. I'm looking at it from my perspective and I'm saying, okay, if we take the information that we've got from our big data database where we're identifying the visitor to the website, sometimes it takes a second to get the information back, but you could pull it back fast enough and do some kind of an overlay on the page for that particular person to be a best guess for what it is that they're actually interested in. I see that as a thing that would be coming probably within the next 12 to 18 months. If nobody else does it, I'm going to, because I just see that as being something that really needs to happen. There are artificial intelligence multivariant testing applications out there now for your entire funnel. So it'll take, in other words, you create a funnel from beginning to end where you've got you got the landing pages, you've got the emails, you've got the ads, everything. And it does multivariant testing and audience segmentation and learns what aspects of a person mean that it should show this aspect of that particular funnel to that person. So you're not just, it's not just a smart email system, but it's a whole smart funnel system. Does that make sense? Give me a 1 if I explain that well enough and you guys grok what it is I'm trying to say. An example. All right, so let's say you're a car, an auto dealership, and you've got a variety of different kinds of cars. You've got, okay, good. A lot of you guys have grokked it already, but you've got a lot of different varieties of cars. You've got energy efficient cars, you've got small cars, you've got large cars, you've got, caravans, you've got trucks. So over time, this is going to be an over time learning thing. It's going to understand what kind of a person, the behaviors basically, without having a behavioral index behind it. This is the thing that I find fascinating about some of this software, is that they're coming up with this information on the fly without having a behavioral big data database behind them. So they're doing multivariant testing on every single aspect, from the ads, the elements within the ads, to the elements of the landing pages, to the elements of the copy and the emails, and they test everything, and they say, okay, women in this particular financial bracket, uh, in this particular geo area, uh, with these particular behaviors, they're looking for this kind of a car. So they send them down a funnel that's most likely to produce a purchase, most likely to be what it is that they're looking for, and produce a purchase at the back end of it. So I find that just absolutely fascinating. Aside from having, now those are not inexpensive applications. I've only seen one that does the whole funnel, but I've seen lots of software that has email campaigns, or where they're doing personalization or other AI enhancements with the landing pages, paid advertising, retargeting, and phone centers. There's even some phone centers with phone call answering where they've got artificial intelligence embedded in that. So where it gives you feedback, that it comes back, the AI in that is its analysis, and so it comes back and it gives you reports, and it helps you with everything from staffing to it just depends on the elements that you're tracking. So if you're tracking different scripts, you're tracking different times a day, blah blah blah, it'll come back and it'll give you all kinds of feedback on those things and help you understand how to tweak your phone centers out, or how to tweak your call answering out, so that you can get better conversions. Content marketing, there's a couple different aspects of content marketing that are out there. Everything from researching the content, giving you suggestions for content that your particular market is responding to keyword research, and even to content creation. And then social platforms, it's mostly with the bots. You've got a lot of enhancement, and they vary all over the place. Some of the bots are pretty decent, and some of the bots should be put out to pasture. So one of the things that I came across, and the reason why I run down this whole list about where we are today, is I read a couple of articles that were talking about how marketers are just doing kind of like a grab all with the AI, trying to patchwork puzzle it into what it is that they're doing, as opposed to having a plan. So I thought that it might be nice to kind of like lay out the stuff from front to back where I see artificial intelligence is actually making some good headway, so that you guys can take this information and figure out how you want to integrate it and how you want to apply it into your entire Uber structure. And I think, all right, so marketing tomorrow, like near future. I mentioned this earlier. So let me talk more about this for a second. Voice assistants. So as like, imagine what happens when you lose your phone today. I mean, there's a few people that I know of where they're like, yeah, I lose my phone, it's no big deal. If I lost my phone, I mean, I'm not huge into my phone. I don't have a gazillion apps on my phone. I've only got maybe 10. But if I lost my phone, like, I don't even know my best friend's phone numbers. I couldn't tell you what they are. I like everything that I put in my phone, I absolutely forget. So, and the things like not having a GPS with me all the time is just, it's not even something I could relate to anymore. There are other functions on my phone that are just like that. Like, I couldn't even imagine life without them anymore. So for as much as So for as much as phones are a part of everybody's daily life, and I would say if you look at the younger generation, like the guys that are um, 13 to 30, like they're even more-ish than me, who's, 39, right? Um, their heads are always stuck in their phone. So I see voice assistants as freeing us from the palm of our hand, right? We're going to have everything plus plus. So everything that you can do in your phone, you're now going to be able to do voice, right? You can call somebody on Alexa. You never have to pick up your phone. You never have to plug in your headset. It's obviously not going to be private. Anybody in the room is going to be able to hear it. But aside from that, everything that you can do on your phone right now, you're going to be able to do over Alexa in very short order, if not already, right? So I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what is it that I do on my phone that I can't do on Alexa? Very little, actually, now that I think about it. The only problem is that I don't really have a portable Alexa. You can get the Alexa app on your phone, and that's almost like a portable Alexa, but not quite. So I don't quite have all of the functionality of the Alexa that sits on my desk in my pocket. But as soon as that happens, which has got to be like lickety frippin' split, then you're never going to look at your phone. Well, I won't say never. Never is a horrible thing. I mean, people still type into their phone a little bit, but I'm just going to say that, like, that is all going to go away. I would say within the next 24 months, the amount of typing that you do is going to be seriously reduced. Most of it is going to be voice. They're working right now on a way to navigate via voice. Google is with their Google app, their Google Voice Assistant. So you would be able to say, and when I say navigate, I don't mean in your car. I mean navigate a browser, right? You can navigate a web page on just with the voice commands. So as soon as we get there, our requirement to type, our requirement to have a mouse or a finger on a screen is going to go way, way down. So my recommendation to you guys, whether or not you opt for the course that I'm going to put out somewhere here in this next week or not, my recommendation to you guys is to get into the voice assistants now. Start using them, start doing, there's some really easy things that I'm going to show in the course about how you can code. Like, you don't have to be a coder to make an app. It's easier than making a mobile app. It's like 10 times easier than making a mobile app. And like, get into it now and start to play with it, because as this evolution comes over the course of the next 2 years, where 2 years from now we're no longer looking at our phones, you're going to want to be there. Marketing is going to, like, flip over really fast into being voice activated. So, all right, that's my spiel. You guys got any questions? Comments? Thoughts? Burning questions about other things I will also consider? Quick sip of coffee while I'm waiting for guys to type anything. All right, great info. Awesome. What's a cellular phone? Exactly. I don't actually have a cell phone. I've got one of those rotary dial things. All right. Well, I love you guys. It has been fun. We're going to have, for you guys that are in the AI Alpha program, we're going to have a webinar tomorrow. We're going to talk in depth about some of the software that I broached on here. We're going to have updates on the in-market leads and the website resolutions. And if you're not in AI Alpha and you would like to be, reach out to me. We've still got some guys that are coming in this month. It's not too late. I'm still going to let a few more guys in. So I'm not doing a hard pitch. It's just like, if you missed that boat and you're sorry that you did, reach out and let me know, and I'll work something out for you. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will if I don't see you tomorrow, we will talk to you next month. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a wonderful day.